ZeBirdBrain, and today we are still exploring Harmony 20. So the first thing we're gonna see together is a node that I personally was waiting for years. So you know how Harmony is amazing because there are color palettes. This is what allows me to switch in between my different colored characters. So I have the orange and blue, and I can just switch so easily. The only drawback is that you could not switch in between different palettes. But now, in the node view, you can just write color fade. Color fade should be here, this one. It's gonna appear here. By the way, if you had something selected already, it will automatically attach it to it. And the last thing that you used will be up there, so that's also pretty great. So color fade, already connected. This is so great. So the color fade, how it works, it's super complicated. Brace yourself, you click on it. It looks exactly like a color override because this is what it's based on. So one of the differences between the color fade and the color override is that the color fade has this space right here that allows you to play with your different palettes. Both of them are still very useful. They're just different nodes. So color fade, so easy. You just go here, you go get your second palette. So I have the one from my scene that I'm using. And the second palette, I'm just gonna make it show up here. And then you can just fade in between your different palettes. So if it's 100% faded, then it's 100% showing you this one. If I put it to 0, it's gonna show me the other one. And the great thing with that is that, like most effects, you can find it in your timeline and you can simply animate it. So I'm gonna go here, and the fade, I'm gonna set it to 0, put a keyframe, go to frame 10, and do something like that. And you'll have your color fading. Of course, we don't see thing. So if I make a quick render, you can see that my character will fade from one palette to the other. This is very cool. So next thing I'm going to show you is with rigging. So you know, in the past, when you were rigging, you had to choose if you wanted to use either the curve deformer or if you wanted to use the envelope deformer, because you could not have both of them on the same piece. Furthermore, if you were using envelope deformer, you had to be very careful not to have these kind of details, because if you would pull on it, the details would often look weird. So I'm going to show you 2 new fixes that arrived with Harmony 20. So I'm gonna find my little piece of hair here. So now I only have an envelope deformer, so that's why it looks like crap. But if I go get a new node that is called the weighted deformer. So if I unconnect my deformer and place the weighted deformer instead, connect it to my drawing and to my peg, and then take my deformer and connect it here, nothing seems to have changed. However, now if I play with my hair strand here, you'll see the texture is a lot more pretty than it was before. So if I remove the weighted deformer, we have a weird thing happening here. A little disclaimer, you have to be careful when using the weighted deformer because it is heavier than the envelope, so just be careful when you use it, not to overuse it to make your rig super heavy. And the other problem that we faced before was that you had to choose between the envelope or the curve or a different piece of your rig. Well, now it's possible to put a deformer on a deformer. Then again, you have to be careful because this is also heavier than just having one deformer. But if you really need it, like for hair strands, for example, it's amazing. I take my deformer group, and then you go in the master controller toolbar and you find this little fella right here, the create deformer on deformer button, and you press on it. So this window will pop up, and all you have to do now is simply trace just like you would trace a curve deformer. Like so. And then you can adjust it to make it fit. Apparently it's a bit better to make it go a bit further away from your shape, or that's what I've been told, so try it. And then you press done and you'll get this new little kind of handle. It was made to make them not too similar to regular deformer, and this deformer will deform your other deformer. That's a lot of deformer in the same sentence. But yeah, if you move that, it's gonna move your other point, but it still allows you to move your envelope on its own. So this is very great. It kind of replaces the thing I've shown you with the curvelope, where you would need to have an envelope for your shape and another drawing for your texture that you would put on a curvelope. Actually, it's still a good technique to put a shape on an envelope and a detail on a curvelope. But if you have hair strand and stuff like that, this is super great, super powerful. I'm also using it from now on Woo's hips armor thing. I don't know how to call that, but on that piece as well, I will be using the weighted deformer. Or at least I'm gonna try it because it looks pretty great. So that I can then only animate that piece and the detail will follow and look very great, which I couldn't do in the past. I needed to have one shape for the color and then animate the little details with another deformer. So both techniques are still valid. It just depends on what you're doing. So like for the glove, I'll definitely still keep the envelope here and the motif on a curvelope, just because it's easier to animate. Alright, so I hope that you had fun and that you learned a lot, and I cannot wait to see you next week for the last part of Harmony 20's new discoveries. Have fun!
Ow! Elle a mangé mon doigt. Ah!